Mr. Josh Fullmer, a senior recruiter at Dragos. And I have to say, it's pretty rare that I'm scrolling LinkedIn and find such useful, applicable, kind of tangible recommendations in terms of how to better position yourself as an applicant. And yes, of course, specifically in this case, we're talking about recruiting into the world of cybersecurity. But a lot of the tips that I've read from Josh speak to careers across the spectrum, across so many industries. So I'm thrilled to hear what Josh has to say today. And whenever you're ready, Josh, come on board.
Brad, wonderful start. Great to be here. I'm excited to get through some amazing information that I really hope helps everyone here. So before I jump into the meat and potatoes, just wanted to quickly give a little more introduction to who I am and how I can help you. So I've been a technology recruiter for 8 years, the last 5 of which have been in cybersecurity. And I've had an incredible opportunity to recruit, hundreds of people in tech positions, cyber positions around the world, from North America to Europe to Middle East to Asia, Australia, all over the map. The last couple of years, I've been really focused on sharing what I know. So some of you may or may not recognize me, but I have a presence on LinkedIn. I try and share tips on recruitment and job search and interviewing and all sorts of topics related to careers. And that's been super fun. I've also done some mentorship unofficially, officially. So I'm part of this First Step program and currently the lead tech cyber recruiter for Dragos, which is an industrial security firm based in Maryland. So let's jump in to some meat and potatoes information here. So I want to talk about first what I see as traditional job searching and why it should die, and then why you should avoid this process, which I think is still very common for applicants. And these steps may sound familiar, and it very much has to do with the cybersecurity career path as people have laid it out. So it sort of goes like this. You get educated, you go get your CompTIA, you get your degrees, and you believe that that's going to help me stand out. Better get a resume created and edited and polished. I'm going to go out in the big wide world and apply online. Really cross my fingers, hopefully hear back, pray for a miracle, and then we get rejected, and then we just rinse and repeat. And I have seen this cycle play out in a bad way again and again for applicants around the world. And this traditional job search approach, which is try to qualify myself, go apply to positions and wait to hear back, has failed. And I believe that things are evolving where candidates need to be more adaptable, and they need to do more. And things are changing where candidates need to be a little more creative with their approach. So if you think about it, as a recruiter, I get to see the hiring process unfold every single day. I get to see how hiring decisions are made, how candidates are assessed and qualified and all of that. And really, in my experience, and this is true across the board, there's really only 3 ways to land that job. You can apply online, and people get hired all the time just applying online. The company has no idea who they are. They're just a qualified individual. They get invited to interview, and they get hired. The other way is to get referred. So this is the networking part. You know someone at the company, they refer you, and you get involved that way. And the third way is to get headhunted or get found by a recruiter, because people like me are always searching for qualified folks. Now, I will say this last way to get found, or this last method of getting hired, it is probably reserved mostly for specialized roles, senior roles, etc., where roles that are more difficult to fill, where recruiters are having to go source applicants. So where you should focus your time, not that you should ignore, the possibility of getting found for a job, is you should maximize your potential with each one of these sort of swim lanes. Don't just apply online and put all your eggs in that basket. Build your network, connect with the right people to increase your chances of getting a referral, getting connected to the right companies, and then really over time, optimize your online presence, optimize your LinkedIn so that you give yourself a good chance of getting found by a recruiter or by someone that's looking for talent. So another mistake I see people make is they just stick with like one or two of these. All they're doing is applying online and they're ignoring the networking piece. They're ignoring the community. Some people just focus on, I'm only going to get in if I network. I'm not going to apply to as many jobs. So you should give yourself the best chance of success by focusing your efforts in each of these areas. Okay. So that's like a broad point I want to make kind of as we move forward here. So moving on, here's how I would approach a job search in 2024. And we've seen the market shift a little bit the past couple of years. It's kind of been a tough market, but these things that I'm going to teach you and show you are timeless, they work, and it's going to serve you well if you follow this map. So really, before I would dive into a job search, before I would apply to a bunch of jobs, etc., I would recommend getting very specific with what you want. And I think this is a mistake people make. Again, they get their certifications and degrees and they build some skills, and then they go out and apply and they really don't know what they're applying for. They're just looking for something entry level or something with a certain job title, but they really don't have a clear map or a clear target of where they're going. So as you map out the position you want, here are some suggestions that can help you with that. Number one is do something that you would enjoy doing or find a position that you would enjoy doing. And that just means finding your passion, but be realistic. We can't all, have our dream job in 100% of the time, but I would highly recommend doing something you enjoy, because if you're excited about the position, you're excited about that role or about what that role entails, that is going to be a big advantage to you. And that's going to be picked up on by people who are interviewing you, who are looking for you. So follow, and a good way to do this is as you go through your education or as you do research, you're going to naturally gravitate towards certain topics or subject areas that are of interest to you. Maybe it's malware, maybe it's cloud, maybe it's red teaming, maybe it's something else. So pursue that path that you're going to have a lot of passion for. And then my other point is consider your natural strengths. Me, Josh Fullmer, I am not a mathematician or an engineer. I'm just not smart. That's not a joke. I failed math in school. I am not like the rocket scientist engineer type. And that's okay. I have other skills. I'm a great writer, a good communicator. I have I have good people skills. And so that's where I chose a career that leverages those strengths. So consider what you're naturally good at. Are you analytical? Are you good problem solver? Are you good with people? Maybe you're a good salesperson. Who knows? So find a position that leverages what you're naturally good at. And not to say you can't build other skills or improve your weak areas, but definitely gear your career search towards something that you're going to be strong with and that's a natural fit. And do lots of research. Don't just jump into something because your uncle told you to, or a mentor told you to do it, or your buddy at school suggested you do it. Do lots of research, understand what the different roles entail out there, the different career types, and then make a wish list. What does that role look like? Do you want remote, hybrid, on site? Do you prefer working with certain technology or in a certain industry or a certain type of company? So start building out what that ideal position looks like. Talk to people doing the role that you want. This is like the best advice I could give is if you want to be a cloud engineer, if you want to be a pen tester, if you want to be a SOC analyst, go find somebody out there that's willing to talk to you that does that job day to day, because they're going to give you the truth. Like, I don't know how, like back in the day, I give this example all the time. I thought I wanted to be an accountant like my big brother. And then I took an accounting class and went and talked to him about it. And I'm like, whoa, this is not at all up my alley, but it kind of sounded cool. So I went and tried it out. So definitely talk to people in the field, get real advice from people in the trenches, and that will guide you because you might find out I wanted to do this job, but then I went and talked to somebody and it turns out that is not what I want to do. I didn't understand some things about it. Um, Consider the difference between industries. Do you want to work in government? Do you want to work private sector, technology, healthcare? There are so many high-level industry verticals that you can choose from, and there's advantages and disadvantages to each. So that could be something else that you're thinking about when it comes to choosing your career path. One thing as well is look at pivot roles, what I call pivot roles. So consider, is there a role that can lead to my end goal? So maybe you can't be an instant responder today, but are there positions out there that can help you build the skills and the foundation to eventually pivot to something like that? Or a really fun exercise I like to do is go look on LinkedIn or other sites where people have their careers and their job history listed, and just look for people that have experience in the field you're looking for and look at their history. What did they do before they landed that role? What type of positions did they do? What industries did they work in? And that little research and open source investigation can really help you get some good ideas of where to go. Okay, so summary there, create a map, understand where you're going before you invest all, because a job search will suck the life out of you. It's a lot of time and energy and emotion involved in a job search. You will do much better if you have targets on where you're going. Okay. Here's another piece of advice I have. Um, it's a concept I call do the job before you have the job. And this sounds confusing to people when they first hear it, but hear me out. So you would be surprised at how much you can learn if you just go get your hands dirty. So you will always be limited if you don't have the job already. So if I want to be a police officer, it's like I can't really do the same things as a police officer because I'm not a cop. That's obvious. But every position, no matter what it is, requires certain knowledge. Can you go obtain that knowledge? Find a way to obtain it. Every role requires certain skills, whether it be with technology or programming or whatever it is. Um, Go build those skills. So what I love to do is reverse engineer job descriptions. So it doesn't matter what the position is. If you take a job and you say, okay, they require this knowledge, is that something I can go learn and then go find the best way to learn that? Or this position requires certain skills. Is there a way with the resources and the time I have to where I can go learn how to do XYZ skill? And what that does is it, one, will put you way above other applicants if you actually have built intentional knowledge and intentional skills. Because employers want, they're gearing way more towards skill-based hiring than credential hiring. So credential hiring would be people that have certain degrees or certain education are more competitive. And that may be the case. But now what I'm seeing as a trend is employers wanting, now that it's more a competitive field, they want people with actual skills and actual knowledge that applies to the positions they're hiring for. So another, again, back to this tip of talking to people who work in the field. Go find someone that is working in the job that you want or in the career field that you're interested in. Ask them, how did you get to where you are? What do you do day to day? What are some of the things that you have to do that are difficult that I could learn? What's some of the knowledge you need to have about different technologies or frameworks or threats or whatever? Do the best with what you have. Don't get discouraged, but start building a portfolio. And you would be surprised at how much you can learn if you just get out of the mindset that I can't do anything until someone hires me. That is absolutely not true. You are going to get way further ahead if you take initiative because we don't have excuses anymore in the world today. We have essentially unlimited resources to learn and develop ourselves. And so go find that knowledge, those skills, and start building it today. And you will be shocked at how far ahead you get. Okay, the next point I want to make, community is so important in cybersecurity. And whether you're a noob or someone experienced, you probably already noticing that this is a industry that is heavily focused on community. think of all the conferences and working groups and networking events and um, different social channels that are focused on cybersecurity and the practitioner community. So an important concept is if no one knows who you are, you have a disadvantage. Doesn't mean you have to be famous, doesn't mean everyone needs to know your name, but if you're not visible, you have a disadvantage in today's marketplace. And more visibility, the more people that know who you are, that is a direct correlation to the amount of opportunity you're going to have. So think to yourself, how many people do I actually know on a first name basis in my chosen career field or just in the cybersecurity industry in general? And if the answer is not many, or I really don't have a good network or community around me, it's time to start building one. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. So what I like to do is really low-hanging fruit, and something simple you can start with today is just what I call the concept of join the conversation. So all over the internet, cybersecurity folks are um, talking to each other, whether it be LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, Discord servers, etc. Find those communities and start developing those relationships. Jump in, share content, share your thoughts, start reaching out to people, because one connection will lead to another and can lead to another and can lead to another. And being a content creator is actually a really common thing. It doesn't mean you have to be someone like me who shares on LinkedIn every day. But if you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts, your journey, your research, anything, any insights about anything related to your career field, that can start getting eyeballs on you and start building a network. Just a couple of years ago, no one knew who Josh was. And now people all over the world know who I am. And I have connections in places that I didn't think were possible, all because I started to join the conversation online. So I won't have time to tell this full story, but there, my last bullet point, cyber judo. I have a good friend. He was laid off and then miraculously, it seemed, was hired a month later. And I asked him how he did it. And he said, well, I've been part of this networking group, this kind of training group for the past year and called cyber judo. And it so happens that they had a role open and they knew who I was. They had seen me for the past year and interacted with me. They knew my skills and they brought me on right away. And so he'd invested a full year with this community, this group, and that led to a direct job offer. So I'm not saying that that's going to work for you, but it is something that works for everybody, is that concept. Okay. So if you need more resources, I have a ton of tips on LinkedIn. I also have a blog on Substack you can go follow. And that has lots of content on all sorts of things, resume writing, LinkedIn profiles, how to interview, how to network, how to work with recruiters. So we touched high level on kind of some large concepts here. But if you're looking for more, please follow up with me and more than happy to help. So that is all I had for now. Thanks, everybody, and best of luck to you.